What's up, guys? It's Devin. Large collection / lot purchase. Don't know really what to call it. I went to a card shop that is relatively close to me. The name of the card shop is Avery's Shoebox. It's a card shop in Lansing, Michigan, inside the Lansing Mall. Their store hours, they're open Monday, 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., and then that's the same for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Closed on Tuesday, it looks like. And then Sunday open 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, that's what I just see on their Facebook. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would like to think that's accurate. I worked with Ika is one of the employees at the store, and then Dennis is the owner. So shout out to Ika and Dennis. Those are the two gentlemen that I worked with at the show. At the shop for this collection. I went with all Pokemon this time around. I've been buying both sports and Pokemon, a little mix. This was an all Pokemon day, an all Pokemon purchase. I ended up spending a total for everything in front of you, $5,280 for 1,846 items. So again, my total cost was $5,280. And then the total amount of items was 1,846. Now, the majority of stuff I picked up was what I consider like bulk items. It was a lot of Vs, EXs, GXs, Rainbow VMAX, V-Stars, V-Stars, VMAXs, and then some cheap PSA slabs. So that was kind of like the majority of it. And then I ended up dipping into their showcases and pulling out some of the better singles and some graded cards. So it ended up being a bigger deal than I was expecting because I just found a lot of stuff that I liked at a reasonable price and we made it work. So the bulk stuff, I'm not going to sift through everything just because there's so much of it. But I'll just briefly show some of the stacks and we'll go over some of it. So like that big stack right there with the 3 is all of the Vs and EXs. Then you have some others there. And then I'll go over the top-loaded ones. But those big stacks, it's like 1,200, 1,300 cards. I'm not going to go over all of those. It just seems kind of obnoxious to go over every single one of those because there's a lot of duplicates. But I'll go over some of the other stacks. Arceus V-Star, Lugia V-Star, Zorora VMAX, Eternatus VMAX. You got some PSA slabs. Roseanne's backup as a 9. Friends and Sano as a 9. Kindler as a 9. Phalanx as a 9. Rapid Strike Style Mustard. Trainer Gallery as a 9. Gym Heroes First Edition Brock's Training Method as an 8. Adventurer's Discovery as a 9. Bede as a 9. A lot of trainers in here. Lisia's Appeal as a 9. Genghis-Khan Reverse Foil from Fates Collide as a 9. Kabu as a 9. Kamado as a 9. Pikachu as a 9 from 151. Katie as a 9. Cybold as a 9. Team Yell Grunt Secret Rainbow as a 9. Spark as a 9. Roseanne's Backup as a 9. Snivy Reverse Foil as a 9. Zizu as a 9. Koraidon EX Full Art Ultra or Ultra Rare as a 9. Peony as a 9. Revavroom EX as a 9. Kabu as a 9. Superior as a 9 Reverse Foil. Briar as a 9. Honey as a 9. Uxie as a 9. Friends and Galar as a 9. Ooh, the Uxie was an 8. That was an 8, my bad. Agatha as a 9. That was all of the cheaper PSA slabs. Or I should say, like, the really cheap ones. There are some other ones that I'll get into. Alright, that stack's done. I'm just going to keep going from right to left here. This is some of the bulk stuff that I get, some of the better ones. The Rainbow VMAXs and V-Stars. You got Alchemy, Lycanroc, Magnezone, Superior, Drapion, Mawile, Tapu Koko. And then you got the VMAXs. This is stuff that I always buy. If you have any of these you're interested in selling, just reach out to me. I buy these in large quantities, small quantities, whatever you have. Typically, the VMAX V-Stars, I need them to be in near mint condition. Sometimes I can get away with LP on some of this stuff. It just depends on what it is. These are all the V-Stars. So if you're ever looking to sell this stuff and want to just sell a large lot of it at once or a small lot, feel free to reach out to me. And then some GXs. Nothing too crazy there. Typically, the majority of the rainbows are around that like $5 to $7 range in value, it seems. For like the cheaper ones, that is. All right, let's see. Out of all this stuff, I found one card that I wanted to throw to grading, which was kind of cool. A Kyurem EX. Looked pretty nice, so I'm going to throw that out to PSA. I want to say that came out with the newest set, Black Bolt, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't even think there's data on like grading success or not success with that, which is kind of interesting. All right, let's go over these next. This is some of the cheaper stuff also. A lot of like stuff that's maybe like $2 cards. Probably $1 to $2 stuff. All right. It's considered an LP stack. You got Persian, Vikavolt, Indeedee, Duraludon, Eternatus VMAX. I'm just going to thumb through the rest of this. This isn't really that important of a stack. This is kind of just some other stuff that I bought. Some stuff that I like the Pokemon names. I think they're a little bit more relevant, or maybe it's some stuff that I think will sell a little bit better than maybe just bulking it out. Maybe some stuff I throw in my dollar binder. Kind of happens every time you go through a large collection buying out like V's, EXs. Sometimes you find a couple that you're like, hey, I think those would do well. Just selling individually rather than bulk selling them or putting them on a sheet or something of that nature. A lot of full arts is in this stack. There's a lot of duplicates too. All right. That was all cheaper stuff again. I want to see the majority of those around like $1 to $2. Nothing too crazy there. The rest of this stuff, actually, you know what? There's one more stack. There's one more stack of cheaper slabs. We'll go over those last. This is some of the better, what should I say? This is some of the better singles. This is all stuff that I think is valued $50 plus. So you got a near mint stack, Charizard VMAX ×2, Mega Gardevoir EX, Charizard EX, Garchomp and Giratina GX Tag Team, Umbreon and Darkrai GX Tag Team, Reshiram and Zekrom GX Tag Team, 3 of those. There's going to be a lot of duplicates of the better cards, too. Charizard V-Star fighting Mewtwo. 2 of those. So, small stack of near mint. And then I thought the rest of these were LP. This card has really shot up. Charizard EX. There is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of them. Mew and Mew, the promo. But it is kind of crazy you think about that. There's 14 of those Charizards, which is kind of crazy. I mean, that's a lot of Charizard. And that's a good Charizard, too. So there's definitely a lot of quantity available at the shop, which was kind of cool. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to really go too heavy into showcase items, but ended up just working out. All right, some near mint stuff. This is cheaper stuff. This is what I consider like value cards in my breakdowns. This is stuff that's probably in between like that $10 to $45 range. It's under 50. There might be a couple of these that are under 10, but nothing too crazy. Celebrations Blastoise, Mewtwo V-Star, Arceus V-Star ×2. Mewtwo V from Pokemon Go, a large stack of these. Pikachu and Zekrom GX Tag Team, Charizard GX, another Charizard GX, Gengar VMAX, Mega Houndoom, Mew EX, Charizard EX. You're definitely going to see a lot of similarities. There's going to be a lot of Charizards, Gengar. It's just characters that sell very well. Charizard EX. Another Charizard EX. Lots of those ones. All right, that's all the near mint. And now we're going to go to LP for some of these value singles. Charizard VMAX, Charizard EX, Charizard EX, EX, V-Star. Lots of these. The Black Star promo is a very popular card. So it's hard to say no to quantity of cards like that. Mew EX, another one that has really shot up in price. The Black Star promo. More Charizard EX. Lots of those. Which I'll never complain about a cheap Charizard. More Mega Charizard EX, which is sweet from XY Evolutions. Another Charizard V-Star, and then this was the only one that was MP, a Mega Gardevoir EX. So that was some of the, or I should say all like the better singles. You had some value stuff that was mainly between like $10 to $45 range. And then you had the other stack, which was the $50 plus. Now we're going to go over some slabs. This is some cheaper slabs, and then some of the better stuff, which is the best cards in value-wise compared to the whole stack. All right, Maximum Belt as a 10. Beldum First Edition as a 9. Power Tablet as a 10. Eevee Black Star promo from the Prismatic Evolutions ETB as a 9. There is 1, 2, and 3 of those. Japanese Jack Trainer as a 10. And then Gardenia's Vigor Secret Rainbow as a 9. So that was some of the cheaper slabs, but not as cheap as that first stack of slabs. It's kind of like in between there. And then this is the better stuff for all of the graded cards. I've been kind of drawn to black labels recently. I just feel like there's very few of them out there, and they seem to do pretty well. Arceus V-Star, Japanese black label. And if you're not familiar with Beckett grading and what black label means, I'll quickly explain it. Subgrades are these 4 things: centering, corners, edges, and surface. to get a black label, that means it's a absolutely perfect card. It's a 10 subgrade in all four. 10 means it is absolutely perfect. It's the highest grade that you can get. So to get 10 in all four makes it a black label. It's going to be a 10 pristine. If for some reason you had 10, 10, 10, and a 9.5, so you had 3 10s and a 9.5, it would still be a 10 pristine, but this label would be gold and with black lettering, and it wouldn't be a black label. It would just be a gold label. So it would be a BGS 10 still, but it wouldn't be considered a black label. Black label is considered the absolute best grade that you can get from any grading company, to my knowledge. That's kind of my experience. Maybe there's another one out there that people think is above this, but black label is considered better than PSA 10, CGC 10, all that type of stuff. So black labels have been kind of fun as of recently for me. So I try to pick them up when I can find them. And then Japanese Lugia V-Star, also as a black label. Then we roll into PSA. You got a 97 Japanese Rocket Dark Magneton Hollow as a 10 with a very nice swirl. Very nice swirl there on the card. So very cool Japanese 97 Rocket. Then 2006 Miracle Crystal Japanese Tauros Hollow as a 10. Very nice looking card. It was relatively cheap too, which surprised me. I just think the art is pretty nice. Definitely a cool card. Another Magneton, this time from Japanese Neo 3, another hollow as a 10. Switch over to some modern. You got a Japanese Sylveon EX as a 10. Special art rare. You have the Mew EX, this time the Japanese version, as a 10, Gem Mint 10. Then you also have it in the English version, the Black Star promo, as a 9. Which, let's see, is there some whitening there in the bottom left and top right corners. Probably why that got a 9. And then from Brilliant Stars, the Arceus V full art as a 10. So that was the graded cards. That was definitely a good chunk of the value. These, I think, are going to be pretty sweet. Like I said, they just don't sell very often. I think the pop reports are relatively low on them, if I remember. I want to say they were less than 20 or something like that. Like, it was a really, really low number. So those are pretty sweet to have. If I ever wanted to, like, truly stash and create a collection, I feel like black labels would be a very fun one to get a collection going, a PC, so to say. But that was everything. That was some more expensive slabs, some cheaper slabs, some really cheap slabs, some major bulk stuff with the EXs and the Vs, some dollar binder stuff, maybe a couple cards that are in the $2 range, and then the better stacks of value cards. You had like $5 to $10 range to $45, and then you also had the better stuff, which was $50 plus for the raw, which was basically like a bunch of Charizards, and that was basically it there. So that was everything. Again, the total cost of everything was $5,280 for the entire lot / collection. Again, shout out to Dennis and Ika. They were very easy to work with, and now that's, I think, the third time that I've worked a big deal with them before. So it was definitely easy. Excited to do that. We'll be excited to do that again in the future. And if you ever want to check them out, they are in the Lansing Mall, which is in Lansing, Michigan. That's everything. Thank you for watching. Everyone have a great day, and don't forget to smile. Later, guys.